Okay, live, back in action. This is where it's at. You know what's up. Attacking your speakers from the field to the bleachers. This is the Power 32 podcast, along with my man, Mr. Primetime Kenny, the smart ass, will be in a few minutes. I am the sports prophet, Jason Freeman, ready for NFL freaking frenzy. Let's go, Primetime. A lot of action, a lot of stuff to talk about.
Let's do this, baby. Let's do this. It's been a fever pitch the last 3-4 days, man. This is kind of this is what we wait for in the off season. A lot of people, the off season, there's not a lot going on, but this is the time of year that guys like you and I and Kenny wait for all these moves. Some of them significant, some of them not. We're going to get into a bunch of them tonight. So strap in, baby.
Oh, yeah, that's what's up. As soon as I got off of work, I came home, I sat right in front of my TV, and I got as much information as I possibly could. I was ready to rock and roll, man. I couldn't wait.
Absolutely.
Couldn't wait. There's so much to talk about. I don't even know where to go first, but I guess the quarterbacks, is that where we start? I mean,
let's start. Let's start with the most prestigious.
Yeah, really. Well, I guess that'd be Sam Darnold. Like, okay, he's on his fifth freaking team in like 5 years already, but that's another story. So Sam Darnold going to Seattle because Geno Smith is out of there. He went to the Las Vegas Raiders, which again, I'm not so sure how that one's going to work out. They went from having the fourth best quarterback in the division to having the fourth best quarterback in the division. So, I don't really know what kind of progress they made. I don't want to give Bo Nix all that yet. He's still a rookie. And Geno Smith is definitely an upgrade over what they had, but they're not going anywhere fast. Anyway, we'll get to that. Sam Darnold, Mr. Primetime, he gets a good deal, and it's for, 3 years, 100 mil, a little over 100 mil, so he's going to get about 34 million a year. Not bad, nice deal, but to me, for what? I think it's garbage. I don't see anything good coming out of it. If DK Metcalf was still there, I'd say, okay, he's got some weapons to work with, but he's got two running backs in Walker and Charbonnet who always get hurt, all right? So you got to hope that those guys stay healthy. And now that Lockett and Metcalf are gone, it's just Jackson Smith and Jigba. They got nobody else to throw to. And it's not like a Kevin O'Connell offense. It's not like a Shanahan offense. This is a totally different story that he's going into with Seattle. So I got to tell you, man, I don't see this working out. I think that the Seahawks are going to have a losing record.
I think what Sam Darnold did was realize very quickly that he wasn't going to get a $50 million deal. So he took the 3 years for $110 million. He went to Seattle. The good thing is for him, he still gets to play in a dome half the season. So we'll see how that works out. They got no Tyler Lockett. They got no DK Metcalf. Like you say, the running backs, Charbonnet and Walker, the Michigan State, the one-time Michigan Wolverine, Zach Charbonnet. That we'll see. But I think Sam Darnold, and it may not be a good deal for Seattle, but for Sam Darnold, it gives him 3 more years of security, if everything goes according to the contract. It gives him, I think it was $55 million guaranteed. So Sam Darnold, Kirk Cousins is somewhere right now clapping it up for Sam Darnold. Say, hey, man, grab that bag, because we talked about it on the show in previous weeks about how we feel about Sam Darnold overall. I think Seattle right now is in a situation where they feel that the division is still kind of winnable. Maybe not after this year, because we'll get into the Rams later on, but maybe the course of the next, maybe the 2-3 years after this year, they may be able to do something. But getting rid of Geno Smith, getting rid of DK Metcalf, that tells me that Seattle's ready to either throw in the towel or they have some blockbuster move planned for later on down the line. But I really don't see it.
Well, I don't know what it is. Like they could have used some offensive line help, and some offensive linemen did go today. We're going to talk about that and which team they went to and everything. So, I don't see this being a really good situation right now. I'm sorry. I don't see it. So, good luck to them. But I'm happy as a 49er fan that I don't really have to worry about that team too much, or that offense, I should say. But,
same thing as a Lions fan. I mean, those 50 to 47 games, they get kind of, they take a toll on your heart after a while when you're watching the Lions and the Seahawks play. So at least, if you're a Lions fan, you don't have to worry about Geno Smith putting up 48, 50 points on you every time they play.
Yeah, there you go. That's not going to happen. Oh, geez, my God. Yeah, with the Raiders. Now, Kenny joins us. What's up, buddy?
Hey
What's
guys,
up, Kenny?
about that? I guess I don't know. I tried to clean up my cache and my browser and do a little cleanup on my stuff on my computer, and it made like everything reset, so I had to do everything again. Sorry about that.
All right. Well, that's the technology. That's what happens. There you go. Well, we're getting into the quarterbacks right now. And to get into the next one, to throw it to you first, Justin Fields. A surprise to some, but there were whisperings going on that he was going to go to the Jets, and they made it happen. Aaron Glenn, the head coach who had to see Justin Fields a few times a year when he was in Detroit, as you know, Mr. Primetime, see something that he likes, obviously, and wanted Justin Fields to come over and be the quarterback for the New York Jets going forward, at least for the next 2 years. Go ahead.
Yeah. 2 years, $20 million.
Yeah, 2 years. He's getting $40 million. $30 million guaranteed, actually. Yeah. So, listen. Yeah. I thought that it'd be a nice move for him to stay in Pittsburgh now that they got actually some weapons for him to throw to, and we'll get to DK Metcalf in a little bit. But Kenny, this move, Justin Fields getting a chance to be the number one guy again and not have to worry about looking over his shoulder, could be a good thing. He's got his old buddy Garrett Wilson back from Ohio State.
That sounds fun. I'm glad that everybody's trying to reunite with their friends in college, but here's the thing, Justin Fields is busting fails. That's how we know him. He is not a good quarterback. He's not a good decision maker. He's going to run the ball most of the time. He cannot pass the ball. He's just not that guy. That's why they changed.
Being harsh.
That's why they brought in Russell Wilson. That's why they brought in Russell Wilson and would rather lose 4 games with him, because at least he could air the ball out and make a decision at some point. But the problem is with the Jets is that why do this? You ain't going anywhere. You ain't winning any games. You're not even going to be in third place no matter how hard you try. And so what I say is stay with Tyrod Taylor and add as many things as you can to this team until you can get your quarterback next year. How about that?
See, but what is Tyrod Taylor going to do for you? At least you know that Justin Fields, like you mentioned, he can run the ball, and that is a lot of the way in the NFL right now with the mobile quarterbacks, and those teams are the ones going deep into the playoffs often. Not to say the pocket passer is gone by any means. I'm not saying that, but we saw what Jaden Daniels, rookie, did this year. And rushing to his game is a big deal. Lamar Jackson, every single year. Look, these guys get into the playoffs. So when you think about that aspect of the running game and what Justin Fields can bring, and I think he's a better passer than what you think. All right, I've seen him with some on-target throws. I've seen him play really good football from the pocket. I just think that he gets a lot of flack. Look, he was on the Bears, who are a bad team. Then he went to Pittsburgh, and you know what? Looked halfway decent with not even a good wide receiving core. Took him out. He went 4-2, and now he's going to get a chance with the Jets. I believe they need to get another wide receiver. We'll see what they do, but they should have a better running game than they did last year. Now that Justin Fields is in the backfield, Breece Hall can open up and be a better runner and get in the open field a little bit more prime time. So I like the move. I'm not sold on them being a playoff team necessarily, Kenny. So maybe I'm with you on that.
Just remember there's a big difference between the first half of the Pittsburgh Steelers schedule and the second half of their schedule. If you want to go take a look at that, that's why I'm.
It was brutal. I think the only thing that Justin Fields has going for him right now, being a quarterback of the Jets, is the fact that he doesn't have to look over his shoulder. I think that might, psychologically, that might have a little bit of a positive effect on him, because now he knows he's the guy. And I think Aaron Glenn is the type of coach. I mean, we see what he did as defensive coordinator of the Lions. He's willing to stick with guys. That's kind of his nature. He kind of lets guys play through slumps, play through bad stretches. But the fact that Justin Fields is not going to have to look over his shoulder, he's not going to have to worry about anybody else. It's his, for all it's as it stands right now anyway, it's his team. I do agree 100% they got to go out and get another receiver, but there's still Amari Cooper and a few other guys out there on the board. We'll get into that later. Yeah. But I don't think the Jets are done making moves on the offensive side of the football. And if they are, then they probably are still the maybe the third or fourth best team in that division, unless something drastic happens to Miami or Buffalo.
Yeah, because the Patriots are coming also, and we're going to talk about them. They made a whole lot of moves, man. So they're trying to get back into that division and trying to take the reins away from Josh Allen, who got paid a whole bunch of money. Get into, just to say, Josh Allen, we're on quarterbacks. Josh Allen, damn, made a whole bunch of money. 6 years, $330 million, $250 million guaranteed. And you know what? If you're going to give it to a player, you give it to that MVP right there. I think that he's worth every penny, even though I don't think that anybody's worth that amount of money. It's insane. But in NFL terms, Kenny, I know you may not agree with me, but that Josh Allen deal, MVP, 6 years, $330 million. If he can learn not to run as much and prolong his career, I think that that'll work out pretty well.
Well, only recently he stopped being a turnover machine, so I guess that's good news. Here's the thing. They haven't won a Super Bowl in so long, and they didn't win a Super Bowl with Jim Kelly and Bruce Smith and the Terminator and Andre Reed and all these people that they were a stacked team. They still couldn't win the Super Bowl. All that the Buffalo Bills told me yesterday when they signed him was that they have no interest in winning the Super Bowl for the next 6 years. That's what I see.
Wow.
That
reaction.
Greatest quarterback.
I won't put him. I think very highly of Josh Allen. I think the one thing that bothers me about Josh Allen with the Bills is that he's asked to do too much. And I think that's a product of Sean McDermott basically trying to keep his job. I think as long as he knows that the ball's in Josh Allen's hands, he knows that, he's going to win, lose, he's going to ride or die with Josh Allen. I personally think that it's not necessarily Josh Allen's fault, the turnovers and things like that. But when you are literally, the ball is in your hands 80% of the time, even, their running game is decent, but their running game revolved around what Josh Allen does. And if they, if you're Buffalo, do you tie this next 6 years with Josh Allen and keep Sean McDermott? Or at what point, my biggest question for the Bills is, at what point do you start to think about potentially making a coaching change so that you can absolutely get the best that you can get out of Josh Allen? Because at the rate he plays right now, he's not going to last 6 years. He's not going to last 6 years with the way his style of play and the way that Buffalo's offense is predicated around him. He's not going to last 6 years. So you almost have to think, if you're Buffalo, is Sean McDermott going to be the guy that sees through this contract with Josh Allen?
Well, I agree with Tyler over here. Tyler McGurk coming in. Josh Allen is as talented as any quarterback in the league. He just hasn't won a Super Bowl yet. This is true because Patrick
That's my boy,
Mahomes,
Ty.
What's up, Ty? Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they keep on going. They're in the way of everybody. Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, you name it. So they're the ones that you have to get over, much like Tom Brady and the boys back in the day. So that is obviously an issue, and I get it. But Josh Allen is worth all that money as a quarterback to keep him in Buffalo. He is the face of that team. He is that franchise, no doubt about it. So, yeah, he got paid. A few other quarterbacks that are looking to get paid. And, look, prime time, there's only a few places that quarterbacks have needs. Two right off the bat are the first two in the draft, Tennessee and Cleveland. And I believe that both of them are taking a quarterback. I think that Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders are 1 and 2. Whether or not they are, they need quarterbacks, both of those teams. Then you got 3 more. You got Pittsburgh, the Giants, and now I'm hearing possibly Indy, as they're a little shaky on Anthony Richardson right now, and maybe looking for somebody to come in and either mentor him or even take over. But who is out there? You have Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston. But I am hearing Aaron Rodgers.
That's not. That's not who I thought you were going to say. Daniel Jones, because that's the latest rumblings as far as Indianapolis is Daniel Jones to come in and potentially compete with Anthony Richardson. I wasn't sold on Anthony Richardson coming out of college. My nephew Kenny is a huge Florida Gators fan, and he was trying to sell me on Anthony Richardson and all the arm talent and all the spectacular plays, this, that, and the other. And you can just, when you watch a guy like that in college and you see such a, not a huge sample size, he kind of just had bust written all over him. But if you start looking at other teams that need quarterbacks, the thing about Kirk Cousins is that technically he's still under contract with the Atlanta Falcons. So Atlanta has to make that decision as to whether or not they are going to trade him, or the last I heard maybe a couple weeks ago is that they were willing to keep him on the bench as a backup to Michael Penix
Oh,
I'm not sure
they
how.
are. Prime time. I'm
Oh, I
sure
mean-
they're willing to. He ain't gonna want to do that.
But if you're Kirk Cousins, no, if you're Kirk Cousins, as long as my check don't bounce, then I'll do whatever I need to do right now, because to me that scenario would only last for one season. So you're potentially if Kirk Cousins does stay with Atlanta, it's only going to be for a year, and then Atlanta will probably make a trade either at the late season deadline, or wait till next offseason before. But I don't see a scenario where Kirk Cousins gets the job that he wants. I think there may be a couple more jobs that open up, next season, but Kirk might just ride it out with the Falcons. It's a low possibility, but it's probable.
Look, if
It's
he
not,
has if he's got the opportunity to be a starter somewhere, I think that his pride
Mhm.
may take over. He's had the chance to make a lot of money in this league, and the fact that he still is under contract, he will get that money. It's just a matter of how it's going to be diverse. So I hear what you're saying. Now, if I were a GM of any of these teams, talking Cleveland, Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Giants, Indy, I don't want Kirk Cousins. I would rather go, if I'm Pittsburgh, they've been talking about Aaron Rodgers forever. They're already cynically talking that tampering and all that bullshit that they're doing right now, Kenny. So I feel
legal
like
tampering period.
Yeah, well, exactly, the legal tampering, as opposed to the illegal tampering, which doesn't exist anymore because everybody knows that people are fucking talking. It's ridiculous. It's unbelievable.
If you're not under contract, they can talk to you. So once you've been cut, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but they have to wait till a certain date. They're supposed to wait until the free agency period opened today, and
But I think unless
everybody got signed in 5
they've
minutes.
already been cut. Once they've already been cut and they're not on a team anymore, the tampering doesn't apply. I don't think.
That's correct. If they are released,
So-
100%. You're right.
So what do you do if you're Kirk Cousins, though? Real quick, if you're Kirk Cousins, do you start rocking the boat and start demanding a trade before there's no starting, there's no quality or good starting quarterback jobs left? Because the longer Atlanta waits, that's hurting Kirk Cousins. So if I'm Kirk Cousins, if I indeed want to be a starter, I almost start rocking the boat. Say, look, man, you guys got to make a move and get rid of me, because I don't want to be backing up a second-year guy. There's a couple of starting positions, jobs out there that I could potentially get. And right now, unless Atlanta's just actively trying to screw Kirk Cousins, which, the way Atlanta's ownership is, sometimes I wouldn't doubt it.
Here's what Kirk Cousins might be thinking in his head, to be honest with you right now, as opposed to going to get one of these jobs that he probably doesn't want or can't get, is wait for an injury during the season.
Yeah.
Then Atlanta can trade him away and get a pick. And that will happen within the first 3 or 4 weeks, almost guaranteed, undoubtedly. And then he'll be starting for another team. So you know what? I see that being the way that probably goes for Kirk Cousins. So maybe he does stay with Atlanta to start out the season. That is possible. Aaron Rodgers, as we know, is going to be released on Wednesday. I keep saying Pittsburgh. It's the only one that makes sense. I don't see him going to Tennessee or Cleveland or Indy, like we mentioned, or the Giants. I mean, there are links to the New York Giants right now. Kenny, if you're Aaron Rodgers, what would you prefer, Pittsburgh or the Giants, if you had to pick one?
Well, I hate moving, so I'm taking the Giants. Right? I don't have to
Okay.
move. I don't have to do anything. I could just go to a different office in a different field, and they're probably 40 miles from each other tops. And there's nothing I need to change in my life. And I'm going to go to another team that, sorry, primetime, isn't going to do shit. And I'm going to fade away and have a shitty year like I have been for the last two and a half years. And it is what it is. Now, I know he had some nice numbers last year. At the end of the year, he decided to wake up and throw the ball to Devontae Adams. That's awesome. I'm glad they had a good time. But he is not a starting quarterback. He's a cancer. I think many people would agree with me. I don't like his attitude. I don't like his beliefs. I don't like how he is off the field. And all that matters to me. I know it doesn't matter to a lot of people. You can go and hit your wife in the face as long as you get 20 tackles, 100 tackles and 20 sacks. Everyone's good with that. I don't believe
Well, all right, so my quick question to you is then, if not Aaron Rodgers from Pittsburgh, then who? Who's left? They need a quarterback. They do not have one. Do they take
They need a
back Russell
quarterback,
Wilson?
but they don't need a quarterback this year. Because, again, they're not going anywhere.
Somebody's got to play. Somebody's got to play.
Mariota's a quarterback. Minshew's a quarterback. Joe Milton you can go get. Dobbs just signed with New England, so he's going to be there. You
don't go get a DK Metcalf and then go get some schmuck to play fucking quarterback for you. That's not the way it works. They're going to have to get somebody who's proven.
Well, here's the big thing. If you're a Pittsburgh fan, at what
DK's
point?
fault.
Yeah, at what point? What's the over under on DK and Pickens melting down? Because when one guy doesn't get the ball enough, I think if you're Pittsburgh right now, you probably are going to end up with Russell Wilson as your quarterback if it's not Aaron Rodgers. So, I'm not even sure at this point. I agree. Prophet, you and I have been talking for. I hate Aaron Rodgers and all the things that Kenny just talked about. Everything about him I dislike. And if you're a Pittsburgh fan, and I know a lot of them, there's a lot of people that they don't want Aaron Rodgers, even with the potential upside, like Kenny mentioned in his spiel about how he woke up at the end of the season last year and decided to finally join the rest of the team and play some football. But Pittsburgh fans aren't going to deal with that shit. They're not going to put up with that. And if he goes in half-assed, first 3-4 games of the season, just kind of coasting through and doing his chill Aaron Rodgers thing with all his enemas and all this other stuff that he does, the Pittsburgh fans will start clamoring. Now you're potentially looking at Mike Tomlin's job in jeopardy, which I know that's blasphemy, but I think Mike Tomlin has to do what's best not only for the Steelers, but currently what's best for his job, and I don't think that's Aaron Rodgers.
All right, him and Mike Tomlin have a very big mutual respect for each other. That be Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin I'm talking about, of course, and that's why there is this talk about it. So I think that if he were to go there, he were to know that this is Mike Tomlin's team. I think even Aaron Rodgers would understand. This is Mike Tomlin's team. This is T.J. Watt's team. I'm going to take care of the offense. These will be my guys. That's what I'll worry about. That's what I'll be the chief of. And I think that he can handle that at 42 after not having a good playing season really for about 3 years, even though, again, last year, like Kenny had mentioned, he did come on a little bit and play well toward the second half. And Devontae Adams played well, and he's out of there. And we'll talk about it with him again, as a matter of fact, no doubt. So, I mean, those are really the quarterbacks. And I think, again, that Cleveland and Tennessee address it in the draft. So it's really Pittsburgh and the Giants, and then maybe Indianapolis. I don't know. We'll see. So
I don't know if you guys heard this or if it's a joke, but I did hear this today. Ben Roethlisberger wants to come back to
it's a joke. It's a total joke. He's not. Right. That man cannot play football anymore at all. He is so broken. It is you know how much. Here's what he sounds like when he gets out of bed. Oh God, help me, please.
I know.
That's what he
Hey, I'll tell you what.
I know those sounds.
I bet money on Andrew Luck coming back to the Colts before I bet money on Ben Roethlisberger coming out of retirement back to the Steelers.
I know we're moving really fast, but okay. Real quick, the Tyrod Taylor thing. My man has been there. He knows the system. He knows.
What's with Tyrod Taylor? What's going on with you and Tyrod? He's played for 9 teams for a reason. He's not a starting quarterback.
He's the Jamal Crawford of the NFL, man.
The Jets aren't going anywhere. Build your team.
So then why play him?
Quarterback can be the last thing. Next year's draft is even deeper than this draft.
Yeah, then go with Jameis.
Jets got players, man. They got players.
How about the Giants wanting to get Manning, for example, next year?
I hope.
Don't you?
I'm tanking. I'm printing T-shirts up. Tank for Arch.
Yes, they should be tanking for him. Sign Daniel Jones back. Bring him back, and then start losing again.
Exactly. Hey, we did re-sign Tommy Cutlets. We did re-sign Tommy Cutlets.
Perfect.
Let him start. I'll go 1-16, baby. Let's do this. 1-16. Let's go.
Richardson, because Anthony Richardson was a stud at the combine. Everybody fell in love with him, and he was bust material even before that. That's why I don't like the combine, to be honest with you, because it blows up players who are playing in no clothes, no pads. They prepared for months for this test and things like that. It's just I don't like the combine. Never did. I'll watch it because there's nothing else to do. But that affected, I think teams would have they wouldn't even pick them if it wasn't for that combine.
Remember John Ross?
As good as he was.
I'll just throw that name out there. John Ross. Remember that name? Oh, he was a 4.2 guy and this and that. And where is he now? He's at White Castle around the corner from our house.
Ooh. Exactly right. Seriously. Yeah, just because Darius Hayward-Bay. Okay, big freaking deal.
Wow.
Yeah, run fast.
Wow.
There you go. I like that one.
Yeah, I brought that one out. Yeah, the Raiders were always good at drafting wide receivers who had no talent. They were very good at that. Jesus Christmas. Tim Brown is the only one in history, probably. My God. So, you know what's great about the Cleveland Browns? They are the dumbest fucking franchise in football. They continue to reset the market by doing the dumbest things. First, it was with Deshaun Watson. They guarantee him $250 million. He plays as bad as you can ever imagine. Then, Myles Garrett, who is 30 years old, God bless him, he can still definitely play, but you pay him, are you ready for this? $40 million a year? Are you fucking kidding me? You make him the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL? I am not denying his talent. What I'm saying is the Browns are so dumb, and every other team in the NFL despises them right now for what they are doing. What is happening? Max Crosby was the highest paid defensive lineman for about 15 seconds until Myles Garrett's like, yeah, watch this, asshole. And
here's what it is.
Field.
I think that here's what happened. I think that the Browns were like, we're horrible. Everyone knows it. We're the worst team. Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield, Johnny Manziel. I mean, the decisions, they just go on and on for being horrible. But letting Myles Garrett go is like dropping Jim Brown. Okay?
Right, I hear what you're saying.
Nothing else going on for them.
I totally hear what you're saying.
And that's the exact reason why you let him go, or you get like a Herschel Walker type haul for him. You can't sign one guy like that when your team is already as bad as it gets. You're still committed to Deshaun Watson. No matter what you do, get rid of him, whatever, you're still going to owe him a lot of money. Now the biggest problem that I have with this, and Jason, you kind of alluded to this, is that now the market. Okay, Max Crosby was what, $35 million? Right. Something like that, 30. Now, what is Trey Hendrickson going to ask for now? Right. If you're Cincinnati, you're pissed off. Like, what? So now Trey Hendrickson is going to ask for $35-40 million. Micah Parsons is probably going to be the first $50 million defensive player in the NFL, and they all owe this to the friggin' stupidity of the Cleveland Browns, which is exactly why they're the Cleveland Browns.
And the Jags did it too. Remember, the Jaguars did it.
Yeah, they tried to do it. Yeah, they're a mess also. Again, look at those two franchises. They're in hell right now. 3-14, Myles Garrett. Yeah, you know what? Stick around. We'll give you $40 million to do exactly what we did last year. Great freaking idea. But
my principal says, I want to go to a winner. It's funny that Ted DiBiase, the former WWE wrestler, said everybody's got a price.
$1 million man.
And the $1 million man, everybody's got a price. So Myles Garrett went from all of the offseason telling us how much he wanted to go to a contender. He's not going to negotiate. The owner didn't want to talk to him. Everything. And all of a sudden, he wakes up one day. His agent says, "Hey, man, they're going to offer you $40 million." Myles Garrett throws all of his values, all of his morals, all of his ethics, all of his whatever out the window. All his thoughts of the Super Bowl, throws it right out of the window. Why? Because they put 7 zeros behind that number 4, and he couldn't resist.
It's all about that comma. It's all about that comma.
Jerry Maguire, the hell out of it. Show me the money, fucking Jerry.
That's
Maguire,
it.
The hell out of it. All right, well, Cleveland, you did it again, man. I mentioned DK Decaf last week because he was sleepless in Seattle, not getting
decoy Decaf.
Oh man, but now he got paid. We mentioned Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh does not have a quarterback, but they have 2 wide receivers who wear the number 14. Which one's going to get to wear it? Probably Pickens. I guess he'll keep it. Maybe Decaf will go with I don't know, maybe number 17 would look good over there. We'll see. I have no idea. But 2 good wide receivers. Now you need a quarterback and a running back. A little bit better of an offensive line. They still got a lot of work to do in Pittsburgh, but they did go out and get a missing piece. So that was a smart move, Kenny. However, prime time, way too much money. Way too much money. A 5-year deal, and he's getting like what? I mean, almost 30 million. 30 million?
Yeah, about 30 million a year. 30, a little bit over, a little bit under $30 million a year for DK Metcalf. And first, to answer your number question, I think DK will be the one to change his number because it's a merch grab for him.
Yeah.
You know, it'll be a merch grab for him. But you know, we talk about Cleveland doing stupid stuff. Pittsburgh's been known to kind of do a head scratcher every now and then. Like, you know, I understand going get Metcalf, but when you're still not sure what you're going to do at the quarterback position, to go out and get a guy like DK Metcalf kind of doesn't make any sense, I think. But we talked about it on last week's show, how Pittsburgh needs to beef up their offense. It's all defense. You know, we'll win 16-13, and so we really And we're not the only ones clamoring like that. So, and Steeler fans are like that as well. So you can't really blame the Steelers for going out and making a move for Metcalf. But I agree with you 100%, Jason. The amount of money that you're paying him, $30 million for DK, I'm not so sure that Pittsburgh's going to get their money's worth.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of money. Look, even Devontae Adams is not making anywhere near that. He's making $23 million a year, and he is going to play for the Rams, which is no good for me and Kenny, diehard 49.
Is it a contested? Good. It may be a contested catch thing with DK. Isn't that his strength? I guess
his strength is route running. His strength is everything. He doesn't drop balls. I mean, he's
pretty fast for his size.
Listen, what he did with Derek Carr with the Raiders over the last 5 years, he's still top 5 in like every wide receiver category. So it really hasn't even mattered who's been there. So
you talking about Adams?
He's talking about
Adams. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Devontae Adams. So now you throw Devontae Adams next to Puka Nacua. Oh my freaking Lord! With Matthew Stafford, who's still got a few good years left in him, this is going to be a dangerous offense for Kyren Williams. Then beefing up the offensive line is what they're going to be focusing on more because the defense is young, quick, fast. They got a lot of good things going. The Rams right now, guys.
And you still, like we were talking, and we were going back and forth in the text. If they sign a tight end like Evan Ingram, you get somebody like that, and you re-sign Tutu. They're now they're looking they're still looking to release Cooper Kupp, which at this point you almost keep him.
I mean,
if you can get him on the cheap, you just giving Matthew. I think they're making one more push to get one more Super Bowl. Now that the 49ers have made some of the moves and some of your key guys have left your squad. That division's wide open now. I see the Rams winning. They could win 13, 14 games this year with that offense, man.
They won. They already won. I'm going to tell you right now. We cannot match what they've done. We blew it, sat on our hands as usual, went bargain bin, same shit the Niners always do, and that's why they lose in the playoffs or just miss it by a game every friggin' time.
What? But wait. Don't you guys still have Kyle Shanahan? Okay, I'll leave you guys alone. Don't you guys?
Look, Kyle Shanahan's great.
He's the guru. He's the he's the Bill Belichick of the.
I was convinced.
No. I know Kyle Shanahan.
I was convinced Mike Tomlin was going to have his first losing season, but he actually, I don't know how they did it, but I just didn't think it could happen. So Tomlin is still living off that Super Bowl Big Ben won for him. So I don't really. People love Tomlin.
Well, as we say hello to everybody, including Papa J and Steve-O and Bay Area Sports, John J in the house. Callum Shaw, what's going on, buddy? Saying that Colston Loveland would be a good Kelsey replacement. Know what?
Why not?
And he could pull the
case. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I don't think he'll be there though, but I think Colston Loveland. Where does Kansas City pick? I think
31.
You might be able to get Fanning from Tennessee. I don't think you're going to get Colston.
Right. I think Colston's gone before. But that's a good. Real quick, I want to send one shout out, man. This guy on Twitter, Warzone with Steve, TikTok, the Warzone with Steve Lamont. Guys, go over there, check him out. He's a Giants fan just like me. He's a really good guy. We kind of went back and forth a little bit last night, so just a quick plug for him. Warzone with Steve Lamont. He's an educated dude. He's been in the sports world and stuff like that. So make sure you go over to TikTok and check out the Warzone with Steve Lamont, along with my boys Fat Boy Fadeaway and Tyler McGurk and the whole. We're all one big family here in the Land of Podcasts, baby.
Yeah, no doubt. I've been knowing Tyler for a while, man. That's great stuff. I love all that. They're
plugging us too, by the way.
That's a great thing. I'll tell you something that I do love is J.C. Horn making a lot of money. But was I in a coma for the past couple of years? Did he become the best quarterback in the league like overnight? I don't know how this exactly happened. Can one of you explain to me that he's making $70 million guaranteed, the highest paid cornerback in the league, 4-year, $100 million deal? How did this happen? And how are the Panthers doing it? What's going on? Is that why they're the Panthers again? Is this exactly why they're so shitty?
Real quick. All I can say about J.C. Horn is I remember scouting the shit out of him during the draft when he came out. Mm-hmm. I loved him. I wanted him. But when we didn't pick him, he left my mind. I know that we also were trying to bring him over because we were trying to trade BA. And I think he was one of the people who we were trying to get. And they were like, no. And so they like him there, obviously. They didn't even want Brandon Ayuk for him. And so they also, I mean, he's a solid cornerback, but that kind of money I don't get now.
No, but
you have to pay him that so he'll stay there, right?
Pretty much. And I think, but let's be realistic. This is kind of almost a mini Myles Garrett situation where it's not, some of these guys aren't even thinking about championships and winning playoff games and all that anymore, man. It's all about the bag. In Carolina, you talk about teams that are light years away from any type of playoff contention or any type of legitimate Super Bowl contention. J.C. Horn's like, you know what? Give me my $25, $28 million a year, whatever it is. I'll keep playing on this pathetic team. Make sure my check is in there the first of every month, third of every month, or whenever they get paid. When they get paid once, twice a month, whatever. And he'll keep going out there. He'll do his pass interference thing like he's known to do. He'll make a big play every now and then. But I don't think J.C. Horn is an elite corner. I think he's just the best of a bad situation. And Carolina says, hey, look, we don't have very many people on our team to hang our hat on. So we're going to go ahead and overpay a cornerback, by the way. We're going to overpay a cornerback and hope he sticks around and gives us some production over the next couple of years while we wait for nothing else to happen.
But that's
they re-signed Tommy Tremble also, who's not a big deal, but he's a decent tight end. So they're going to keep Jatavian Sanders there, and they're going to keep Tommy Tremble, I think. So
all right,
they got
primetime. Yeah, primetime use primetime. With J.C. Horn, it doesn't make sense, man. It just really doesn't make any sense to get that. You said the word overpay. Why did they overpay? They didn't have to overpay. There was no reason for them to overpay because no other team was going to give them that much money. There was no snip out there at all. They just decided, hey, you know what? We're going to make you freaking absolutely more rich than you ever could have even imagined. How can J.C. Horn say no? And maybe Carolina Panthers, arrow is pointing up, but they got still a lot of damn work to do, and they need that money to spread around to do it before they have to pay Bryce Young if, in fact, he's going to be their future. So you got to think about all this shit long term, man. You can't just go into the stuff blind. You really can't.
He'll probably start getting good once they need to pay him, right? Once he starts getting going, it'll be time to get him to come.
They bid against themselves. The Lions did the same thing with Derek Barnes. They're paying Derek Barnes right now. They redid his deal. He's making $8.5 million a year, and for what? You probably could have got him for 4 or 5. There was nobody else out there in the market. There wasn't a huge Derek Barnes market out there. So, and I think they probably could have got J.C. Horn for 17, 18 million and, been able to go out and maybe add another piece to the secondary. But these teams, they have a bad habit of falling in love with their own players. And we kind of went back and forth with that in our text. Teams have a bad habit of falling in love with their own players and not wanting to let these guys go, so they tend to overpay. And I mean, Myles Garrett at $40 million or $25 million for J.C. Horn, which one do you think was the worst deal?
Oh God, the worst one is Myles Garrett, because just to pay $40 million to a 30-year-old, it doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. Even though he's great, I know he is. He didn't change that team. They were 3-14 last year. So what are you going to do? God.
Plus the ripple effect that his contract has on a lot of other guys.
The good thing is they gave the money to a position that's extremely important, like defensive end, and the Commanders were concentrating from the inside out like a few other teams. The Patriots, the Commanders are doing it, and even the Bears. But let me start with the Commanders. Laramie Tunsil they get from Houston. Now, Houston had one of the worst offensive lines in football last year. They gave up a lot of sacks, and they let Laramie Tunsil go, who is their best offensive lineman. Really strange. Don't get it right there, but they grab him from the Texans, the Commanders do. As we know, they already grabbed Debo and another 49er, Javon Kinlaw, once upon a time, and they're keeping Bobby Wagner. So the Commanders are spending that money that they do have right now, but there's more to come with them. So far, I like what they're doing, especially protecting that blind side of Jaden Daniels with getting Laramie Tunsil. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Primetime. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, man.
Okay.
I know this is your wheelhouse.
I just don't understand what's going on this year. This year, what's happening right now, these last couple of days and stuff, is like, I don't remember a time like this. Maybe you guys can remind me, but I don't remember a year like this where people were just dropping players left and right. and trading and swapping, and it's like it seems like it's like a special.
You know what it's like? It's like kids sitting down in the street when they were young kids and trading playing cards. That's
cards, or like someone playing Madden now. We're just doing these ridiculous trades that like are crazy. There's no loyalty. Nobody sticks around. So much for wanting a Super Bowl, and then your principals go right out the door in less than 12 hours, like David said. It's wild right now. It's like the wild, wild west, and nobody knows what's going on. There's crazy moves going on. Some people think they're great moves. Some people think they're bad moves. But there are people who aren't doing anything at all, sitting on their hands right now. And those are the people, even people making bad signings, that's fine. But making zero signings when other people are making moves is even more confusing.
Yeah, all of our teams are not making any signings. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit, no doubt. But also the Patriots are another team that's spending a lot of money, and they have a lot of money on Harold Landry. Milton Williams comes over from the champion Eagles. He's getting $26 million a year. Your boy Carlton Davis, prime time, is coming over at $20 million a year. And on the offensive line, they get Morgan Moses along with Robbie Spillane in linebacker. They are beefing up that defense. And I originally had Abdul Carter falling to them at number 4. Now I'm thinking they're probably going to address the offensive line a little bit more because they went so defensive heavy. But they're spending the money in the right spots right now. But still, prime time, you got to focus on that offense at some point. I know Vrabel is a defensive guy. You got to get Drake May some weapons if this guy is ever going to evolve.
And what the question is that because there's not a lot of receivers in the draft. So the problem, what that means for New England is that you're going to have to keep dipping into that piggy bank and spending more and more of that $198 million or $148 million or whatever it was that you had in salary cap. Yeah. So, but you still have Amari Cooper's out there. Yep. Stephon Diggs is still out there. Yes. Chris Godwin ended up re-signing with the Bucs. So you got a couple of good, solid wide receivers that can kind of, and veterans. That's going to play into that. That's really going to help Drake May out. If you can land on Amari Cooper, Stephon, maybe Cooper more than Diggs. I think that'll help Drake May out. But the problem is that you're still in need of a tight end. You're still in need of a second wide receiver. Even if you do go out and get a Cooper, you still need a second wide receiver. Your running game is average at best. And are any of these moves that you're making right now still going to allow you to be the second best team in your division behind the Buffalo Bills? So Vrabel and Robert Kraft and those guys, they got a lot to think about. Yes, you're going out. You're spending a lot of money because you got a lot of money. But you got to realize, too, they had so many holes that they had to fill that they could end up blowing through their entire wad. They can end up blowing in this offseason and still not be any closer to winning the division.
Yeah, maybe not, but maybe closer to getting to a wild card. There are 7 now. It's a little bit easier. Yeah. Maybe you get in with a 9-8, 10-7 record. But no, I'm still on your side. Look, they got work to do on the offense. There's no question about it. They got to go out there and get guys. You mentioned a couple of them: Amari Cooper, Stephon Diggs. Maybe you can make a trade for T. Higgins. You got the money to do it. You got the pieces to do it. Maybe you address it in the draft. I mean, there's maybe 4 or 5 wide receivers that can go in the first round of the draft. I mean, that could be something that you do as well. It would be the Patriots. I mean, would they take one in with the 4th pick? I don't know. I'm hearing a lot about that Ted McMillan guy, but I think that may be a little bit too early. But
they won't take him in the first round now.
No. In the early 2nd round, they may be able to pick up a wide receiver, but we'll see. That's the Patriots.
They might take Mason Graham if he falls to them. Yeah, if Mason Graham falls to 4, I'd take him.
That's possible.
I'd take Mason Graham.
I've seen I've seen Shador going first to Tennessee a lot. I've also seen Abdul Carter going first because they need that guy. But Abdul Carter hurt himself. There was rumors he needed surgery. Now he says he's playing the pro day. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah. His stock could fall. But I've seen in a lot of mocks, it's usually Abdul Carter and then Cam Ward and then Giants Shador Sanders. And then the 4th pick is like whoever you want for them. They have a great opportunity, the New England Patriots, to get either a great defensive tackle, a great offensive tackle, a great wide receiver, a great tight end. They have their pick of the litter.
Yeah, they can even trade back. They can even trade back and maybe pick up an extra pick.
You know what the thing is with Tennessee? They're all fucked up over there. They're living in 2 different time zones. They got 2 different time zones. They don't know what time it is. That's why the players, half of them only show up to the game. That's
Not
the
lying.
problem. That's why they're losing all the time. They don't know what time the fucking game starts.
That's
You
right.
gotta get the one time zone in the state. Come on, Tennessee, get with it.
That's a long ass state.
Jesus Christ already. My God. Yeah, really.
Good barbecue though. Good barbecue. Good
Yeah.
barbecue.
But I'll tell you, they're going to draft Cam Ward. They're going to take Cam Ward. They know what's good for them. You got to get the quarterback, and everything is saying that Cam Ward is the number one guy. So I think that's the way that they go, and we're definitely going to be doing our mock drafts up until we get to the draft. I can't wait. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. Guys, I think the Bears have also been doing a really good job. Look, they've been addressing that offensive line with Joe Thuney from Kansas City, Jonah Jackson, who also came over. And today they got Drew Dolman to play center. They're really doing things with that. Yeah, they're really doing great things with that offensive line.
I know, but like what? Did they sign an entire offensive line?
They basically signed an entire The second that Atlanta decided they didn't want Grady Jarrett anymore, the Bears are like, you know what? We want him. Let's pick him up. 3 years, $43.5 million.
It's like the one thing I liked about them, the Falcons, is they had a nice line.
Yeah, not as much anymore.
No, and I'm telling you, if we talked about it before about the Bears potentially being still fourth place in that division, I don't know, man, because they picked up Grady Jarrett, they picked up Odeyingbo from the Colts. They're doing a lot right now to beat. You know, their offense was already pretty good on paper, so you know, if you're a Lions fan, if you're a Packer fan, if you're a Vikings fan, Ben Johnson knows what he's doing. And I think Ryan Poles and company are giving him everything that he needs to win, like Kenny said when we were texting, win right now. And I don't think they're going to win the division, but I don't think they're going to be the worst team in that division. I could easily see that going to the Minnesota Vikings, considering what they lost in Sam Darnold. The Packers, we talk about Jordan Love all the time about how he's a hit and miss. You know, he still wins 12 games, you know, despite what his injuries and inconsistent play. But what the Bears are doing right now, and even if they don't make it to second place in the division and they still end up fourth, you still got to give credit to what they're doing. They're swinging for the fences. They know their weakness. They know that Caleb Williams is going to be the future of that franchise. And you know what? We're going to sign every good lineman that we can possibly get our hands on. And we're going to do everything to where our fan base knows that we're out here trying to do what we can to make sure we protect our quarterback. And by the time the Lions window is closed, the Packers window is closed, maybe 2 years from now, maybe the Bears are the cream of the crop in the NFC North.
They might be in Ben Johnson, like you said, it's got now. Ben Johnson ain't waiting 3-5 years.
No.
He wants to start immediately.
Absolutely. It's all well said right there. They may have the right coach in place to get all this done. It is very possible. There's no doubt. I'm looking forward to seeing how this all evolves with the Chicago Bears. It should be really
And the Bears need this because, obviously, I mean, they've had issues at quarterback. They've had issues with their Super Bowls. I mean, they used to be a fourth back in the day. NFL, nothing.
Kenny, you made it a nice
little... and just their bad coaching decisions. Their bad coaching decisions over the last, 10 years. You know, that they may have finally landed the guy that's going to be there longer than 2.5 or 3 seasons.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Because, they do like to fire people pretty quickly over there, whether or not you got into a playoff or not. It's pretty unbelievable, that track record they got over there. God. But, to kind of breeze through some of the other ones a little bit quick. Kenny, you made a little prophetic statement when you mentioned that you thought Josh Sweat would fit with the Arizona Cardinals in this
Remember that?
Coach Jonathan Gannon. And what do you know? 4 years, $76 million later.
Sometimes, bro. Sometimes there's a little synapse moment in there, and something good comes out of here.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with them signing him. It's not gonna help them get anywhere fast, but you know what? It's a start. You know, you get a good piece on defense like that, a good edge rusher who's gonna probably get you double-digit sacks. Yeah, that was a good idea.
You know what's nice? Sometimes not everybody wins a Super Bowl, and I think that most NFL players know this. So they want their money. They also want to play with a coach that they know, with people that they know, because this is work for them. It's not entertainment for us. They have a job. Those are employees, they're coworkers, their family. You know what I mean? Like, this is more to them than what it is to us, I think. I think it's obvious, but you know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Yeah, plus two, they've been looking for a pass rusher since Chandler Jones left them. So, you know, who knows? Josh Sweat might be that guy to be able to come in and inject a little bit of life into that defense.
Seriously, man. I mean, they had to do something. You know what? You got to spend money somewhere, and if you're going to do it, a defensive end, that's a good place to go. There's no doubt. Every team needs
It's
a
not-
pass rusher, and if you get 2, that's even better.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, game changer.
And the Lions, looking to do that, with Aiden Hutchinson, maybe get another guy beside him. Let's see if they do it in the draft. But today they addressed definitely an important need when, you have a lot of throwing going on in that division. You got to deal with the Justin Jeffersons and then all the wide receivers in Green Bay and stuff like that, and whatever's going to happen in Chicago. So the Lions get DJ Reed, former Jet, who was an underrated cornerback because he was playing next to Sauce Gardner. But primetime, you're getting a really good cornerback to replace Carlton Davis.
To me, I think it's a wash. Honestly, here's one stat that kind of bothers me. DJ Reed was tied for the most pass interference calls by a defensive back last year, and guess who he was tied with? Terrion Arnold of the Detroit Lions. So you got you got the top 2 guys. Terrion Arnold. You hope by by attrition that he gets a little bit better, and I think he will. But to me, all things being equal, I probably would have had Carlton. I would have rather had Carlton Davis. You're paying DJ Reed $18 million. Carlton Davis left you for $20 million. You kind of meet somewhere in the middle at 18.5 or 19 million, and you got Carlton Davis. The problem with the Lions is that they have a really bad history of drafting people or picking up people in free agency that are having injury history. So you keep Marcus Davenport, but you let go Zadarius Smith. You signed all these guys over the last 3-4 years that have had these injury histories. Now it's starting to rub off on the guys that you actually drafted. So the injury bug has hit the Lions very hard the last few years. But DJ Reed, I do. One thing I will say in his defense is I think he's a little bit more consistent. And Carlton Davis is kind of feast or famine with him, and that's one of the reasons. If Carlton Davis was that good, he'd still be with the Bucs. So and that's kind of my philosophy on that. But I'm hoping DJ Reed can come in, maybe teach Rick Shaw and Terrion Arnold, some of the younger guys, the Kenny Vildor experience. Maybe come in and kind of show these things. Where I don't think Carlton Davis was that type of that mentor and that leader, and that's what I think the Lions secondary needs.
Okay, no doubt. Yeah, the Lions.
I kind of agree with you. Yeah.
Go ahead, Kenny.
I agree with you. And also, what the hell? I mean, you have a pick, right? And I feel like they had a chance to have Hunter fall to them. Is that possible?
Who?
For who? The Lions?
Who?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. We're not talking about the Lions?
No, yeah, we're talking about the Lions. You thought that Hunter was going to fall to the Lions?
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I didn't know we were talking about Detroit. I'm sorry.
Did you talk the Giants?
No, I was talking about still New England for some reason. Because we were talking about Carlton Davis. And Carlton Davis.
Oh, yeah.
And what I was saying, is that I would love to have seen Travis Hunter and Christian Gonzalez in that secondary. That's what I would see this year.
That'd have been nice.
I feel like they could have moved up to even do that. Plus, if you do that, you get a wide receiver. Don't you need a wide receiver, New England?
Yeah.
So you get your quarterback and you get your wide receiver. You get 2 players with 1 pick, and all you have to do is move up and give up like a 5th. It would have been super easy.
Maybe the Giants take them now that
maybe a 3rd.
If Ward and Shedeur are off the board, and they'll probably either take. I would probably see them taking Travis Hunter over Abdul Carter, which I wouldn't do, but I didn't want us to draft Thibodeau either, and whatever, man. Next subject.
I think it depends.
Thibodeau could have a good year, though. He could have a good year.
He needs help. Dexter Lawrence and Thibodeau need help on that defense, man. And don't get me started.
Well, you got Brian Burns, though, right?
Yeah.
Not the same.
He was better in Carolina for some reason. He was more of a beast in Carolina. He really didn't do that.
I think he liked the weather there better, probably.
Well, yeah, and you're probably going to lose Azeez Ojulari as well. Bobby Okereke is hit and miss. The Giants got a lot of holes. If I'm them, I address the defense right now because you got a couple of decent receivers. You need to start beefing up that defense like the old days.
No doubt.
So,
all right, well,
Detroit is stacked. They're still stacked. They still have a great team. They're gonna do great. I just think that when you lose that many coaches, it affects you. We saw it on the Niners. It's gonna affect them. I just don't think they're gonna repeat what they did last year.
No.
Well, they
still got Dan Campbell.
They did last year. They lost in the freaking NFC divisional round, so that's
Dan
not. They don't
Campbell.
want to repeat. They need to do better. But yeah, they obviously their coaching matters in the NFL more than it does in any other sport. So I'll agree with you there and see how they will fit in these gaps. And that was the problem that Philadelphia had this season after they won the Super Bowl, and their guys left, Jonathan Gannon and Joe Shane. What's his name? Steichen, Shane Steichen. Excuse me.
Steichen to the Colts.
Then they brought in Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio, and everything changed again. It went
Well,
back.
but look who they brought in. Makes a difference, right?
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. It makes a really big difference. So in NFL, coaching matters more than anywhere else. There's no doubt about it.
More about the Rexes and the Joes, and this the X's and the O's. You ever hear that? Like,
Yeah. The Jimmys and the Joes.
Jimmys and the
Sometimes
Joes.
The Jimmys and the Joes. Yeah.
Sometimes it's the coaches. Sometimes it's you really need those players, no matter how good your coaches are. Hey, man.
Jimmys and the Joes, man.
When you push, you got to pull from somewhere, right? So.
Yeah, the Bucs are trying to stay a mighty Joe, no doubt about it. With Chris Godwin, he's going to stay with the Bucs. He got a nice deal. He got 3 years, $66 million. And Hassan Reddick is going to come over there, and we assume he's going to play a full season, unlike with what happened with the Jets debacle last year.
To the Bucs, right?
Yeah.
So
and then they re-signed Levante David for a 1-year deal too.
Yep.
And
for what that's worth.
And Godwin, right?
And Godwin, Godwin's going there also.
I think they're holding on to what they can because, like I said last year, I really think it was Liam Cohen that made Tampa great last year, and I don't think they're going to be the same team.
You're a big Liam Cohen guy.
Yeah,
I love Liam Cohen. Man. He's a Sean McVay guy.
You have a major man crush on Liam Cohen.
As much as I hate Sean McVay,
he does.
Sean McVay is a very good coach, man. Got to give him his love.
Yeah, we do. That's why we know the Rams are going to be dangerous too, because not only do they have the pieces, but they have the minds behind it, no doubt.
I'm so upset about today. Jason, I know you're upset about today. I'm so disappointed in my team, and I feel like we're in a hole right now.
Well, the 49ers
I'm laughing at you guys, by the way. I saw that news. When I saw they re-signed Stafford, then they turned around and get Devontae. I instantly thought of you two guys first, and I'm right now. I'm kind of in my serious mode, but inside, I'm gut busting right now. I'm laughing so hard.
You're laughing inside.
Yeah, LQTM, laughing quietly to myself. It's but they just give Stafford more to. We talked about it earlier, man. But I think they'll win that division going away this year. Like I say, I could easily see them winning 13, 14 games and contending for the NFC. But they're right back to being a Super Bowl contender now. Let's be real.
Right now, they're the second best team in the NFC. I would say you would go Philadelphia first, and then second best is probably the Rams. I mean,
and they almost beat Philly. Only team they even come close to.
That's exactly right. There's no doubt. So I think that the Rams are definitely viable, and Stafford is in the twilight of his career, but he can still sling that freaking ball like the best of them. There's no question about it. So watch out. A couple other notes. Khalil Mack, he's going to stay with the Chargers, 1 year, $18 million. Nick
I saw that coming.
Chiefs, 3 years, $45 million. What do you guys think is going to happen in Cincinnati? Do you think they're going to give T. Higgins a contract? Do you think that when all is said and done, Trey Hendrickson ends up staying there like Myles Garrett did in Cleveland, and he gets a contract? If so, how much do you think one or two or both are gone? Primetime, you first. What do you think happens in the whole Higgins scenario?
I mean, okay, well, here, Prophet, throw on your GM hat real quick. If you had a choice you're only going to splurge on one of those guys, either on Higgins or Hendrickson, who's it going to be? In my mind, the way that your defense played last year with Hendrickson, your offense was record-setting, but I still, all things being equal, I would probably still take Trey Hendrickson. I'd sign Hendrickson over T. Higgins, simply because I'm not convinced that T. Higgins can go to another team and be that number one stud like in his mind, he is. And it kind of puts you almost in a San Francisco Brandon Ayuk situation. Do you sign him just because that's what Joe Burrow wants? Or do you sign him because that's what's better for the team? And I'm not sure, Brandon Ayuk in his mind, he's a number one. T. Higgins in his mind, he's a number one. So he wants to get paid like a number one. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go with the proven guy. I'm going to go with Trey Hendrickson. He he's healthy all the time. He gives me stats, and he elevates my entire defense. Take last year out of the equation. Cincinnati got above average defense, and I think maybe if they had another piece or so here or there, they could get right back to being a mid-level, a top 10, top 11 defense and keep them out of the basement like they were last year.
They probably could have made the playoffs last year with one or two more defensive players.
Yeah.
Prime, I want both out. There's no question about it. You're not getting anywhere with both of them. You already tried it. Not to mention, T. Higgins missed quite a few games last year. I had him on my fantasy, and I know for a fact that I had to bench him quite often because he was not able to play. Trey Hendrickson, same thing with the defense of Myles Garrett. Why are you going to pay a shitload of money to a guy who's not really even doing anything to help your defense? You need to spread that money around. You're talking about $60 million plus a year that you would be able to spend on 4, 5, 6 other players as opposed to just 2. And we saw that Joe Burrow can operate the offense without a problem, without T. Higgins there. Is it better with T. Higgins there? Yes. I'm not a fucking moron. Of course it's better.
Yeah, but you only need to win by 1, not 30.
That's the thing. So they got to concentrate on their defense more than anything. So yeah, I'm with you. I would, if I had to pick one, I'm picking Trey Hendrickson because I like what he does on defense, and I know that he will pressure the quarterback. And you would hope that you would get different guys around him. Coming in with the new D coordinator this year, Lou Anarumo was out. But my thing is get them both out, and let's get some new blood in here because the reality of the situation is they are not going to a Super Bowl anytime soon until they fix that defense.
So do you blow it up? I mean, do you just if you don't sign Higgins or Hendrickson, are you just basically throwing in the towel for the next couple of years because and start thinking about this draft, start thinking about what you can do to maybe acquire more picks for this draft because if you already, I think in their mind they already know what they're going to do, but if they do what I think they're going to do, they need to start thinking about what they're going to do in this draft as far as acquiring more picks and getting some more talent on that defense to justify, like you say, that $60 million that you're probably going to spend between T. Higgins and Trey Hendrickson.
Right. A lot of money being spent over there. So that's what I'm saying. I would send them both packing. I know that they made the playoffs with that, trio or quattro, whatever you want to call them in there before. They've done it before, but I don't know, man. A lot of money to spend, and they need help in a lot of places. And yeah, I would love for Cincinnati to go get a whole bunch of picks, rebuild this team over there, make some smart moves, make a trade if you have to. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm very interested to see what actually does happen over there. Kenny, the 49ers aren't doing anything, and we're losing players, and we're bringing in players that nobody ever heard of before. Can you rationalize anything that's happening in San Francisco?
I wish I could. If I could, I'd knock down the door and tell them to hire me. I mean, it is what it is. It's what a lot of people think right now is that the Niners are just one of those teams. They've won a bunch of Super Bowls. They always go to the playoffs, and so they have no interest in winning the Super Bowl because they make a ton of money anyway. And so that's what a lot of people think the owners are doing right now, that they just don't care about winning Super Bowls because the Niners are still going to rake in a ton of money, and it doesn't really affect the bottom line to them. They don't really care.
McNine is fun. Breaking news: 49ers signed Fukin now. It doesn't exist.
And that guy's not even very good.
Let me ask you guys. Let me ask you guys this as 49er fans. Same thing we were kind of alluding to earlier with Sean McDermott and the Bills. At what point do you maybe start kicking the tires on a new head coach? Be honest.
I can tell you right now.
Go ahead, Kenny.
Well, real quick, because a guy cannot stay on a team for 10 years and not win a Super Bowl. My man is gone. I think is this the 9th year?
I think he's going into his 9th year.
It's the 9th year, the 8th year, whatever. It's a long time. And my man hasn't won a Super Bowl. And I don't know what other coach said it. I don't remember what other head coach said this, but you can't be on a team for 10 years and not win a Super Bowl. You need to go. And so he'll be gone by the 10th year or maybe after the 10th year because you have to leave. I mean, enough is enough. And so Kyle is.
It's really a catch-22. It's a catch-22 primetime because he fits our offense and what we want to do so well. He's so good schematically. But on the other hand, he is not the leader, not the rallying cry, not the man that you say, you know what, I want to go win for that guy right there. They just don't have that. You saw that on defense when you had DeMeco Ryans and Robert Saleh as D coordinators. Every time there was an interception or a turnover, whatever, the whole freaking team went nuts. Saleh was on the field. Ryans was on the field. That's what you need out of your head coach sometimes. That's why you guys in Detroit, Dan Campbell, everybody loves him. We get nothing from Kyle Shanahan. So the fact that he doesn't have that extra added ability or whatever you want to call it in his repertoire over there, that is a problem. And that's part of what's not getting us there. And you know what? Bad decision making in crucial moments too. It's happened and we've seen it before. So yeah, you know what? Maybe after this year, he's got to go. And you know what? The alternative may not be better, but Kenny's right. You still have to go. You can't be in one place for double-digit years or even 8 years for that matter and not bring home the gold. I know that he went twice, and that's fantastic, but you got to bring it home.
Great. Also,
I just wanted to hear you guys say that. I'm just
also there's other things. There's other things that people don't like about Kyle is they believe that he runs his running backs into the ground. He doesn't like how he gets.
He does.
People believe that he gets people injured with the way that he calls plays and the decisions that he makes. He's also blown calls that other teams and other players know rules that he didn't even know. And then later he goes and says, I knew the rule. I did exactly what I wanted to do. I don't think so. I just don't believe that.
So that takes me
reaching in
that
the draft.
takes me back.
It's flop.
Right. Yeah. That I was going to allude to that, the reaching in the draft here, but that all of that goes back to, you talk about how he runs his running backs into the ground. That goes back to Jimmy Garoppolo. That goes back to Brock Purdy. That goes back to not having that top flight quarterback. And I know we went over some who'd you rathers last week, but let's be real. The reason why he's had to run running backs and Jordan Mason's going to be next.
Yeah.
He'll be the next one that runs into the ground. Mostert left.
Hopefully he stays
CMC is injured, and now Jordan Mason will be the next one that they run into the ground. But is that a product of his play calling or the product that he doesn't have that top flight quarterback that most teams, or not most teams, but that the really good teams have to put them over the hump?
I mean, maybe that's why CMC didn't get hurt for once, because Brock was rolling the year before last, Might be the only reason.
CMC, very rare to see have a healthy year, and he had a healthy year, and then the year after he didn't have a healthy year, and now you got to look forward with him and definitely going toward the twilight of his running back career, no question about it. You're going to have to start looking elsewhere. Is the answer Jordan Mason? I don't know, but you're going to need a lot more than that, and the 49ers can't go out there with Brandon Ayuk and Ricky Pierce all on day one. I'm sorry, just can't happen.
Eli Mitchell just went to the Chiefs. And Jordan Mason, whether he stays or not, here's the thing about Jordan Mason, and I love Jordan Mason. He's a juggernaut, okay? But he's not a starting running back. And as soon as he became the starting running back, and I think I said this already, but I'll say it again. As soon as he was expected to shoulder the load, he hurt his shoulder, and he was out.
Well, the thing is that he was a completely different running back than Christian McCaffrey, and the offense that Kyle Shanahan was running worked with McCaffrey because it was more outside zone schemes and getting him into open spaces where Jordan Mason was, give me the ball and I'm going to run right downhill and break your face in the middle of doing it.
That's what he does.
That's the problem. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And
He's
a lot of running backs, that's why their career ends really quickly. A running back's shelf life in the NFL is only 3.5 years. Average 3.5 years, and you are gone, my friend. You're out of here. See you later.
There's so many running backs in the draft that are young and that are shifty.
The NFL is so entertaining. The NFL, it's really so entertaining that I wanted to close out with one thing because we already went over our hour. It's just amazing. And you know what? Darwin's Raven brings up a really good point over here, something that I didn't say earlier when we were talking about Sam Darnold going to Seattle, that Clint Kubiak was the QB coach in San Francisco while Darnold was there. So Clint is now the OC in Seattle. That is exactly right. So maybe that does help Sam Darnold's confidence out. It's just a matter of scheme-wise and who you're going to throw to, and they just don't have all that there. I see it not working out really well. I think they're going to be third in the division because I think the 49ers will magically take a step up this year. We haven't made the moves yet, but hopefully we will. But what I wanted to ask you guys real quick before we get out of here, no more hard knocks for the NFL this year. They're doing it with North Carolina, Bill Belichick. But if you had to pick a team for NFL hard knocks this year, what kind of chaos would you want to see? I'll tell you right away, if Aaron Rodgers went to Pittsburgh, I'd probably
that'd have been my choice. That'd have exactly. I want to see Pickens. I want to see Pickens and Metcalf. I want to see Pickens and Metcalf. It's just a matter of time. And you got two, those very eccentric kind of individuals. They're a lot alike from a personality standpoint. with those two and Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin, oh man, come on, that's what NBC used to call must-see TV. I would pay to see that. I really would. That'd probably be my number one team to see on Hard Knocks. It really would.
We should be able to vote on it. The fans should be able to vote on it because Levi just said Shador.
Yeah.
Shador would have.
There you go.
But NFL teams in what? Yeah, I like that. Wherever Shador goes, Darwin's Raven is saying. I like that a lot. Yeah, I like that. That's good.
There's some good stuff we could have seen. Yeah, Pittsburgh was another great one. Let's do UNC, Pittsburgh, and whoever. Why do we gotta?
Yeah. Darwin saying Pickens and Metcalf fighting for the number 14. Yeah, we talked about a little bit about that earlier.
14A, 14B.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh my God! Don't say that because now they might actually
start over the A and the B.
Right.
Oh no.
14.1, 14.2. There you go. That's a good point, Darwin.
Right now. Oh God. Oh, that was great. Yeah, so many things. I mean, we couldn't even get to Greg Russo staying in Buffalo, big time money. Ronnie Stanley staying with the Ravens 3 years, $60 million. Nick Bolton staying in Kansas City. The Bills signed Joshua Palmer, and some people made a big deal out of that. That he came over from the Chargers. I'm like, well, whatever, dude. I'm like, that's not really that big of a deal. I know he's an outside guy and he can make some 50-50 catches, but I don't see why giving him 3 years, $36 million is making sense.
No, not for a guy. When you watch his highlight reel, they don't even show him catching touchdowns. I think he had like 580 some, or he didn't even have 600 yards receiving last year. So, and I know Justin Herbert wasn't slinging it like he normally does, but I saw that deal and I immediately shook my head. It's only $12 million a year, but that's $12 million a year more than. You probably could have gave that to somebody else. And they show his highlight reels and stuff. It's like, wow, they didn't even show him. They show him catching balls and falling to the ground. They didn't even show any touchdown catches from the guy.
Yeah, exactly right. And Darwin's Raven chiming in again. Crazy though. Hufanga and Greenlaw both to Denver. I was telling Kenny before how Denver always steals our players. Even DJ Jones signed a big deal today, and they took him from us a few years ago.
Well,
they took McGlinchey.
McGlinchey's there.
Everybody. Yeah,
and we hated McGlinchey, but when he was there, when he was in Denver, him and the other tackle were like top 10 in their rating.
Yes, I know. Mm-hmm. I know. We let good players go. That's the thing that we do. We let them go. Eric Armstead, bye, see you later. Yeah,
or we leave them on the practice squad and people steal them.
That's another thing. Yeah. We're not that good at keeping secrets. We got to do a better job of that. Shh, John Lynch, shut the fuck up. Keep quiet.
Right.
Anyway. Yeah, man, this is fun. All right, we don't do Monday shows, but we came out. You guys came out. We appreciate you all who make the show as great as it could possibly be with your comments, your questions, your opinions. We freaking love it. We will be back on Thursday because Wednesday is official signing day and all that sort of stuff. And there's going to be a lot more action that goes on. So Power 32 Podcast back on Thursday. Fellas, it's been a blessing. It's been a beautiful thing. And I can't wait to do it again.
Same here.
Absolutely. Same here, man. Make sure you guys out there, if you guys, all the people participate in the chat, make sure you tell your friends about the Power 32 podcast. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Give us a little bit of your time on Thursday nights. We promise you absolutely won't regret it. We got a lot going on here. We're on the bigger and better things here on the Power 32. We want you guys to be a part of it.
Yes, you're always a part of the show. As you see, we put you guys stuff out there, man. We love it when you comment. It's a beautiful thing. Sometimes you carry the three of us, baby, and that's why we go over an hour when we plan to do an hour. Only an hour, guys. Only an hour. Not that never happens. Never happens. All right, we're out of here for now. Power 32. Keep it with you, baby. We'll see you next time.
Peace.